What's up and what's the deal, everybody? Welcome to It's Giving Justice, where I am Justice, sharing my truth one story at a time. And this episode is definitely a different episode because I have the honor of sitting with my boss dog, but also my friend, the inspiration, the Gemini, not the biggest because I am the biggest. And yeah, I call him Jay. Y'all have to refer to him as something else because this is my friend. We got Jazz in the building, the founder of the distribution company. Founder or are we co-founder? Just all you?
I'm the founder and it's not all me. It's definitely a lot of different people who are involved, who've been in this process and this story. So, we can kind of talk about that, the different inspirations and helps that, it's not just me at all.
Nah, it's actually not just you. And I think I had to discover that. Let's just even get into the fact how I found out about the distribution company. I think I had moved here, last year I moved here. And I think it was the event that you had with Vegas, who's also a well-known photographer out here in Vegas. And I know, what was the theme for that one, actually?
So that one was for Art for Sale. Basically, I have a friend named Dave, and he hadn't been painting in the last 6 years. And he was like, yo, you should get back to doing some painting and so on. So the whole event is to highlight my friend and basically build an art gallery that's popping around him.
Yeah.
And that was like our first big event. We did some other small stuff leading up to it. But shout out to Vegas, being able to bring out the city and, use some of his influence. And then the coolest thing I'd say about it was like almost bringing the Avengers together, right? So you have people that normally wouldn't be together in these spaces or necessarily commingle, from industry people, let's say Leverage, to Hive with the clothing brand, to some of the different artists and all that type of stuff that wouldn't cross paths. We were able to get all in one space, all at one time.
And I think that's what I really like about the distribution company is that you guys are constantly bringing like you said, the Avengers, all the Infinity Stones together to really create something powerful, but also really establishing the community here within Las Vegas. So Jay, where are you even from?
So originally from Pennsylvania, born in Harrisburg. However, moved here when I was about 9 years old. So
okay. So
this is home.
This is home.
Yeah,
this is you're a local. So you've been really just building everything from within being in the community. Yeah. Versus coming outside and saying, hey, I've been here and there, so I'm going to start this. You've seen it come from the ground up. Yeah,
definitely. I wouldn't say, I guess the word culture vulture and all that type of stuff.
Yeah, you're not a transplant. That's what they call it.
I'm not a transplant. A lot of the people who I see out and about, hey, we played basketball together when I was in high school, or I know you from selling sneakers or different things like that. So by the time we get into these spaces, hey, we might not be close, but we're familiar. Right. So if I don't know you, I know your cousin, or I know your ex-girlfriend or something like that.
Not the ex-girlfriend.
Where we have a point of reference.
And to make it all make sense and come together. I think also, can you share a little bit I know we have the distribution company, but I think when you hear the word company, at least myself, it's such an umbrella of things because we know that you have the Vibe Distribution Day Party, which if y'all aren't tapped in, May 18th is the 1 year anniversary, which is huge. Shout out to you for being consistent and persistent.
1 year later.
1 year later. Tell us about the journey for real.
All right, so distribution company, let's start with what distribution is, right? So I've always worked in sales. And I consider that my talent, right? My talent is people and selling things. So now you get into the distribution company is really selling people with ideas, right? So Justice, you're dope. Hey, how can I do something and build something around you to highlight you?
I love that.
And help your likeness, right? So the same situation happens with Vibe Distribution is that, hey, my friend who I met in, I want to say maybe my freshman year of college, Jay Crazy, he's been DJing this whole time, right?
Chef's kiss.
Your DJ's favorite DJ.
Okay, for real.
So, we think he's an alien, right? Like an abnormal talent.
Absolutely.
Compared to a lot of people and so on, but doesn't necessarily get the recognition that he wanted to. So for me, the whole Vibe Distribution services, we have a clothing brand that is not selling. And I'm like, all right, hey, it would be cool to use talented people like Jay Crazy and put our products on them so that they're product placement, but also create content that highlights them.
Right.
So we go from our first video with Jay Crazy, literally a year ago, to this being in my loft at the time, grabbing a couple friends on short notice.
Rich.
Relax.
Very rich.
Need money,
Loft.
right? Loft at the time, we do this like on a random Tuesday, something like that. I make some tacos, we eat, we might have 20 people in the house all of a sudden and having a great time. And that's how it starts. Fast forwards to going from like house parties to now we have venues, to like our event with Art for Sale, where we're having like these big parties with 400 or 500 people in. Now to focusing and trying to really like tailor in on this party aspect. I had a conversation with Ozzy from Dre's, and he told me that, you know, I'm asking people that, you know, I admire and look up to in these spaces, like, hey, how did you get into this?
Right.
He said, in high school, I threw parties. In college, I threw parties.
Right.
Then I started throwing parties at UC Berkeley. The Warriors start coming.
Oh, snap.
The Giants start coming and so on. And now, all these years later, I'm still throwing parties.
Yeah.
Right? So in other cities, you know, hey, if I want to have a clothing brand or whatnot, you probably could just do that. Or, hey, if you want to have an art gallery, you could just do that. Because we live in Las Vegas, everything kind of starts from party.
No, for real, for real.
So if you can throw a good party, you most likely can bring people.
There are a lot of things. Exactly, exactly. I think I like that aspect
So
too.
that's kind of how vibe distribution correlates to everything.
Yeah.
So, you know, people might not come out and support, hey, your pop-up for your clothing brand or your art or whatnot, but they'll come out and party.
But I've seen it at a party, right,
yeah,
right.
You know,
And putting things in the right places and spaces. I enjoy that. So I know that you said you start off as sales. Were you also throwing parties too? Like what even gave you the idea of, let me just start throwing these lit parties? I know you have the DJ friends, but obviously we know a party is more than just having a fire DJ. Some people don't come for the music.
Right. So I was throwing like game nights with my friends, right?
Oh,
so we have like, all right, I like to cook or was cooking more at that time. I don't really cook too much today.
I was gonna say, Kiki be doing the additional
She
dining.
do all the cooking additional dining. I do a little bit of prep. Shout out to Kiki or whatnot for that. But originally, hey, I'm doing a lot of cooking, just like enjoy hosting in theory, right?
Yeah.
So we go
Which is crazy. Can't get you to talk for nothing, but
I talk in intimate spaces. That's about it.
I'm not mad at that.
You know,
Feels special.
We're not talking to everybody, but we're talking to the ones that matter.
I like that.
Right. So, with the whole sales background, we go from, hey, cool. We've been selling products for all these different people working in these corporate spaces, making like decent money in these spaces, being able to talk. However, I had so many of my friends that were like super hyper talented, like literally aliens that no one knows about.
Yeah.
Like, you know, you're walking around like you're regular. You're not regular.
Right, right.
Somebody shouldn't be acting like
Somebody
you're regular.
needs to see this.
Right?
Somebody can look at this
you
for
know,
real.
So like trying to build a platform for that.
I like
so
that.
That's where distribution company starts. Let's say distribution company is the umbrella. Then you have distro entertainment.
Okay.
Distro in general, distro is not a real word, right? Which I had to realize. But when I thought about, like,
because when I be spelling distribution, I'm like, wait, distro
there's
and
no O in
distribution?
there at all, right?
Not at all, not at all.
But when you think of like, Power and like Ghost and all that,
Yeah.
hey, yo, he was a distro, right? So think about distribution company as being the corporate, politically correct.
Right, I was going to say the legal standpoint.
Right?
Okay.
If I wanted to show it to a law company, we could do that. But distro is something that, one, the logo looks better, in my opinion. And then two, also is something that's a little bit more relatable, almost on a streetwear version of this. So like a subsidiary of that. So that's how we get into distro entertainment. And then also distro dining as well.
Right.
And distro entertainment is to really, I went to LA and they had something called Plots LA. And basically what that was is they had a story that just reposted everything that was going on every day in the city.
Yeah.
So you were able to come to this one place and I said, hey, Las Vegas don't have nothing for that, right? So, hey, when y'all see me reposting your events and so on and so forth, it is literally so that someone can come to distro and look at this story and find something.
We know we can go to
that,
Distro
right?
and find something to do that fits for us.
And it'll be anything from, cool, we want to go to the club. You might want to go to a Kendrick concert, but you also might want to go to a small room that has 20 people, for an event that is intimate with your friends.
Yeah. Well, it's good.
Shout
It's
out
good
to the
marketing.
Intimate Club or whatever,
We just gonna leave that with open space and open air, but definitely shout out
to
to
everybody,
all
yes.
the collectives
Absolutely.
that are doing their thing here in Las
Absolutely.
Vegas. I know that you said distro is not a real word. So what does distro mean to you? Ask the founder.
Distro is getting your shit off.
I like that. Come on.
So like, however, wherever that looks like for you. All right, we have all these artists, we have all these, entrepreneurs and stuff, and like we all are trying to get our shit off, whether it be a product, whether it be an idea, whether it be ourselves to another human. Like, some people we're just trying to get our shit off. So that's a place that you can do that.
I like that. Really creating a safe space for people to actually be themselves and explore how big, how wide that can get. Now, something I heard today as I was listening to a sermon was like being, consistent and being persistent. I think that when you are doing any type of business, there's a level of consistency that you have to show up, but also the consistency is like taking those risks over and over and over. And as we stated, we are now approaching a year. So how have you remained consistent in throwing events that hey, I might put $1,600 into this and get $5 back? Like,
absolutely.
how do you deal with that? What is that journey like?
I think when I decided, it was a couple of different things. So I think when I decided that, hey, I don't want to go back to work.
Oof, woo.
Let's start there.
Because you heard me say on Friday I quit. You said, okay, well, we could do an interview today.
Let's do this.
Like, shout out to you. This my friend for real, for real.
So I think it's that, but then it's also, so my dad, he came to a movie night, right? And my dad, I come from super religious background and so on, and we're watching Belly. And the conversations.
Why you introduce me? I was there. That was there. That was the one that did the
I think
filming.
it was Paid in Full.
Okay.
You came to the second.
Oh yeah, I came and Paid in Full. You're right.
So what do you call it? We have the one with Belly, and my dad being this uptight, real religious person and so on and so forth. He said that we had these conversations at the end, and he said, hey, if the whole purpose of this event was to have these conversations for these young, beautiful African-American people and just people in general, God could bless that.
Hello?
Right? So
Absolutely.
when I started realizing people were telling me that, hey, these events are changing our lives slowly but surely, you started realizing this is bigger than
the program.
So we had Art for Sale, and I remember a kid coming to tell me I just enrolled in art school after going to your event.
Wow.
So on and so forth, right? So things like that, which, I'll be the first to tell you, I don't give a fuck. Okay. I care about money.
Okay.
So on and so forth.
Okay.
However, those things they slowly changed my heart in that of all right, well, this is, creating a space and creating a platform for people, which at the base of it, that's what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
We just wanted to make sense at the end of the day so that,
if
we
it don't make dollars, it don't make sense,
right?
okay?
Because it definitely takes a lot to throw these events to, this is, in this whole period of being strictly entrepreneur, I've worked more than I've ever worked for anybody else.
1,000%.
Period, right?
1,000%.
So much harder, much less sleep, a lot more stress, a lot of just constantly thinking about these different things and so on and so forth in this process, right? So.
Yeah, I think you said a lot more stress and a lot more thinking, and I think that everyone who wants to pursue entrepreneurship or not work for someone else, we often find ourselves complaining about the 9 to 5. Oh, I worked 8 hours, I only have this many hours, but it's like the entrepreneurship is 24/8.
Yeah, if you're scared of work, then you shouldn't be trying to do this.
That's probably not what you should do.
Right.
You should probably find somebody you would like to work with. So how do you... Yeah. Okay. Maybe. OnlyFans doesn't have to be the OnlyFans content that first comes to our mind. Ain't that something that you have as a shirt? Ain't there some merch that you Shut the hell up. How do you deal with the stress? How do you get sleep? Because first of all, Jay is not just an entrepreneur. First of all, you're a great friend and you're also a father at the same time. So you're dealing with life itself while also trying to figure out who you are as a man, as an individual. How do you deal with all that? What's the routine? Do you have a skincare routine? Okay.
Nah, just trying to find the bright spots and like balance this stuff out. I'm not gonna like lie to you and tell you like, yo, sleep. Like, oh, we're not sleeping. We
don't sleep. We take naps like this.
You know, we're not sleeping. We're not at that point yet in the process, right? So, you try and balance out the different things that you need to do. So, from being a father to being a friend to people and trying to support, just have your intentions proper. You know, so if your heart's in the right place, you know, those things kind of balance themselves out for you.
I like that you also said like having that conversation with your father and then other people coming up to you, like letting you know how this is more than what you thought it was, or it's just like, I'm just trying to make the money out of it versus like, okay, I'm actually making an impact and I'm making a difference. And I think that there's this equation, at least for myself, where I'm like, okay, when I'm doing things that are making a difference, that is what creates the income. But how am I supposed to make that experience something tangible into actual real dollars? So give me advice on that. Like, how do I get past that point? Because you kind of went about it backwards, right? For you, it was money to where now you're seeing yourself make a change. So now you've kind of found the answer to that equation, where myself, I'm like, still looking for, you know, they say X plus Y equals, like, I don't even remember it no more.
So,
but you know.
So a long time ago, somebody told me is that, you know, people don't remember what you say to them. They don't necessarily remember what you did to them, but they remember how you made them feel. Right? True. So with everything that we try and do, we're trying to create experiences that are going to make you feel your best self. Right?
Yeah. Oof.
So when you come to a vibe distribution party, things that are different in that space is that, hey, we're not doing like sections and so on and so forth.
Thank God. So can't stand a section.
Than the club. You got everybody in there from, hey, the hot girl who's, you know, super fire and so on and so forth, to, you know, there might be an old lady in here shaking her ass.
And be having a time.
You know, you might have a pregnant lady in here, so on and so forth.
We have.
You know, we have a little bit of everything. But, you know, it's a place where hopefully everybody feels welcome at some point, and that everybody feels down to earth. You feel like, you know, imagine having a party of 500 people, but you feel like you're intimate with your homies.
Yes.
And so on and so forth. So,
but I feel that's conversations we've had in meetings to where we were kind of stuck. We were kind of being like superficial, like, oh, we want the bad bitches, we want this. And then we realized, like, again, bigger than the program. Like, this is for the people, and that means the Asians, the blacks, the browns, the gays, the theys, the thems, the non-binaries, and it's for everybody. And I think that people are really seeing the essence of what you're doing, and not just for yourself, but for the community, creating that open and safe space. Where do you see this going? Because like I said, this is just a year. You're only a year into this. We haven't even reached 3, let alone 5 years. So how big would you like to see this grow?
Somewhere in the range of like Complex or bigger. Right?
Okay.
So my thing
I like
is,
that.
I would love to see Vibe Distribution be on like a traveling circuit, like some of the other parties that I've been blessed to like partake in as a consumer. I also would like to see us be able to give more to our community, whether it be, hey, we've done everything from
we did the give back.
The give backs for like the homeless. We've done all different types of things, but you know, even imagine, you know, so the whole phrase "party with a purpose" or whatnot. Yeah. Imagine what party with a purpose looks like at 1,000 people at a party.
Hello.
So now you can really affect change and so on, and you know, in your community and do different things, and then also just being a platform to springboard your next great mind, you know, or your next great creative, or, you know, your artists that, hey, no one's heard this person's music, they don't know what to do. Let's kind of bridge the gaps in that process.
Okay, I'd ask you, because with any journey, we know that we have failure, but failure is really just a space for us to learn. So what is the biggest failure that you've had on your journey, and how did you learn from it and like use that as motivation to bounce back? Last time, you know, somebody wasn't taking money at the door. But I feel like that's probably the smallest.
That's probably
one.
the smaller failures, right? That's the smaller failures that we've had.
Right.
I think the failures, so I think in concept more so than details.
Okay.
And I think that the bigger failures are when you're off in the concept, right? So let's say aesthetically something that, hey, has worked for us, right? So let's say with Vibe Distribution, one of the things that stands out is that you were able to feel like you're a part of the party. You're able to go talk to the DJ, so on and so forth, right? In concept, hey, Distro Marketplace we had DJs on the stage, which that's not necessarily conducive to what we've been doing.
Right,
consistently in concept and so on. So
right.
You have a lot of those different things where, you get off path trying to be something else that you're not, or trying to do something else and so on and so forth. And I think that's where failure lies, is
not authentic doing I was just about to say not doing something authentic that is, you know, is if this is who you are and this is what we're doing,
be that.
This is
whatever that is, be that. And be comfortable in that.
You already know my favorite quote is be who you are for your pride.
Absolutely.
Okay,
and be aware of who you are. There's a lot of us who don't know who we are, right? Or think we are who we're not. Hello? As well, right?
Be for real. I guess that's true too, being very for real with yourself. And I think we even had like I think this was the first heart-to-heart conversation that I had with you. Shut up. I'm going there. I got to take it there because I don't remember where it sprouted, but I remember you were like, well, yeah, most people look at me and they don't think that I'm doing this. Right. And it sparked something in me so bad just out of connectivity for who I've been as a child, where I'm like, I don't like shit like that, because who you are to me, and I know to other people, if they don't know you, you're like, you're cool as fuck and you're funny as hell. This man constantly finds a new word and overuses it. I think last month we had aura. Aura, your aura harvesting. Your aura harvesting. I've been doing that. Y'all, that's another conversation, but I can say I'm all about giving flowers, and I want to make sure that you have your flowers, because who you are is cool as fuck. What you're doing is really amazing, and I don't think that a lot of people get the chance to do what I have been blessed with the opportunity to do, which is just to sit here and have a conversation with you. And I think that after every event, like, first of all, we have meetings, y'all, and this man will call me. We're either me and him having a personal meeting during the party, or literally he calls me 5 minutes after the party is over. I'm like, can you give a nigga a second to breathe? Hold on.
This is on my heart. You gotta hear me.
Like, how are we having a party and you over there just taking notes already analytically? Do you even find yourself being able to party? Is partying the same for you?
Not at all. I'm a party when I go on vacation.
This man parties when he gets the hookah. That's really what the party begins.
Yeah, I'm gonna sit and watch. That's what people watching this. I mean, that's the other part of it that, you know, I enjoy a lot too. But like, as far as flowers, there's a lot of moving pieces involved in our team and so on and so forth that are making these things come to light. Shout out to Jessie.
Jessie, that's my girl, another Gemini.
The work, another Gemini.
We got Lewis.
We got Vision. We got Justice doing the hosting and so on and so forth.
Period.
And then there's just other random
characters Infinity
that want to help.
For real,
you know? That want to help, whether it be to be involved, whether it be, hey, yo, I just had something I can add. That, you know, and so all that is appreciated.
And I get that a lot when I speak to people. They're always constantly saying, like, let me know how I can help. Let me know how I can help. Like, we at the Distro Dining event, and the ladies that you see me go to We All Scream with, they were literally at the Distro Dining event and have went to the Vibe Day party. So it's a beautiful thing to see how what you're doing is absolutely working, and not just from a financial standpoint, but like, again, bigger than the program, cultivating something that everyone actually feels is missing in Vegas. So I, like I said, want to make sure I give my flowers and let you know.
Absolutely.
Much gratitude, because you did that.
And this is just the beginning.
Hello?
You know, so like, just getting started, just the tip of the iceberg.
Literally.
I felt like for the last year we were experimenting and we kind of now have a better grasp on what we want to do. And you know, last year you're trying stuff out. It's like a blessing and a curse that we had so much success so early.
Yeah.
But you know, you go from having a 400 or 500 person event, then doing it again, and then trying to regroup and figure out what's all these different things.
While also staying in the loop of what's happening on the outside and how to use that to be beneficial to what you got going.
And then trying to monetize it as well so that it's sustainable.
So many, what do they call that? Tiers, I guess, if you will. So many levels to it. And yeah, you're really doing the damn thing. So again,
shout out to you too.
Shout out to us. Gang,
absolutely.
Birthday's on the way, so y'all better be there May 18th because that's really the start of our Gemini antics, to be honest.
Absolutely.
And then
stay
after
tuned
that,
for what's coming in June.
Look, because I was going to say, you going to tell them?
Yeah.
You going to give them a little
Stay
insight?
tuned, stay tuned. We got a lot of different events coming up that we need you guys to show up to.
Please, okay? We're not just doing this for us. This isn't just for us, but this is the us is for us, by us, meaning everybody.
There's none of this stuff works without the people.
Hello? They say for the people, by the people?
Absolutely.
For the people, by the people, that's Constitution, but for us, by us, that's more, more black. But I think that's all the questions I have for you. I know, look, I know we never gonna get this again, probably for the next 50-some years.
Get whatever you
Another
need
20
off,
years,
please,
right? Another
Any
20
final
years.
questions?
My man is turning 30, big 30, not the little one. So we gotta go ham.
Absolutely.
Quarter 2, quarter 3, quarter 2026. Everybody just
It's gonna
be
be
quiet.
a busy summer. A busy summer.
That's how we like to be. That's actually called having motion, booked and busy in real life, not for fake. Well, friend, you got anything you want to end with? Well, first of all, you definitely have to end with a piece of advice to all of the listeners who are listening to this, whether they are your brother, sister, cousin, lover, op, as I like to say. Give them something to take away. Like you said, it's about what they feel, right? In the end.
Yeah. So I would say figure out what you're doing it for. Don't give up. And don't rush the process.
Hello. Oh, I like that one. Everything is in
It's going to
season.
happen when you're going to be exactly where you're supposed to be when you're supposed to be there.
Facts.
So
Facts. And you did say that
those
to
are
me
my
last
pieces
week.
that I would give you.
I like that. You ate that up. All right. Father, friend, businessman, Gemini, fool, hookah boy. This has been first of all, this is the first time that I think I've actually publicly put out a podcast with a guest. So I just ate this up. I'm telling you, if Rihanna and Frank Ocean had a baby, it'd probably be you. You only pop out when you pop out.
Give you another 3 years, 4 or 5 years
If that.
for the next album.
If that.
My mixtape coming out soon.
Okay. No, but you look, he did say he was working on something
we
like
got
that,
a
right?
mixtape coming, this year. This
guy.
two coming for sure.
I feel like every other meeting is some shit that you just randomly create, and I'm like, did I miss that meeting?
And it's just stuff be happening behind the scenes.
That mind.
Because I want to present when it's done, almost. Like when we like 70%.
You know, it's a difference between being done and finished. But you just said when you're done, it's like 70%.
Yeah.
Here you go. When I finish, it's complete.
That's when I need y'all to package it.
You know, add your little spurt to it, add your little thing to it.
That's it.
Well, y'all, it's been real. I am your host, Justice Jackson, who obviously loves you the most. This has been an episode of It's Giving Justice, where I guess I'm not sharing my truth only. We got other people sharing their truth, one testimony at a time. And that's what this is all about, speaking and sharing our truths, because we are inspirational, we are motivational to others. And if we don't uplift one another, you get what I'm saying? What are we doing it for? So make sure you are liking, subscribing, following, and sharing this again with your mother, brother, sister, auntie, cousin, aunt, the man on the street, your next door neighbor, everybody, because everybody's story deserves to be told. So we signing out. You got a sign out word? What's your sign out? Did you just gangbang on my podcast?
My bad. I had to tell childhood.
You who?
What?
Okay. And there you have it, folks. Till next time.
Go
Bye.
sell some shit.
What? Knock it off. You're a freaking menace to society.